Hello, how are you? This is Lerone Kuntz. I'm not on the stoop today. I'm inside the house in Brooklyn. And I'm just here to give you the update on what's happening in the election, as you may have heard, as you should have heard, as I know that you've heard. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has endorsed Donald Trump. Now, that's significant because Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a lifelong Democrat, okay? His father was Robert F. Kennedy, who was the Attorney General who ran for president and was assassinated. Also, his uncle was John F. Kennedy, who was the president that was assassinated. So they are lifelong Democrats. And so it is so significant that he chose to support Donald Trump. Now, he was running, he wanted to run as a Democrat, but he had to run as an independent when he ran for president, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., because the Democratic Party is not democratic. Okay? Had they been democratic, they would have had a true primary and he would have been able to debate against whoever was running for president in the Democratic Party. And being that Biden has dropped out of the presidential race, they should have been an opportunity for him to present his arguments for him vying for the top spot as it relates to running for president for the Democratic Party, but they would not allow that. Not only would they not allow him to run as a Democrat, they tried to stop him every way they could from getting on the ballots in the states. Okay, they sent their legal teams after him and disputed every state, and they challenged everything he was trying to do. Now that is not a democratic process. Okay, the Democrats claim that they're standing up for democracy, but they will not allow a level playing field. They will not have a fair process so other people can run and so people can have a choice on who they vote for. They are very much into trying to eliminate all their competition by hook or by crook, whether it means to deploy legal teams or judges that they have that are political operatives pretty much for the Democratic Party to go after their opponents, to try to jail their opponents. So R.F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the son of R.F. Kennedy, the nephew of John F. Kennedy, has chosen to support the Republican in this race, Donald Trump. Now, one other thing that was done to Robert F. Kennedy, the Biden administration had denied him Secret Service protection. Okay, now this is significant because all candidates that are viable candidates that run for president in this country are entitled to Secret Service protection. Obama got it while he was running. Hillary got it. Everybody gets it. Barack Obama got Secret Service protection 400 days before the election when he was running for president. The Biden administration refused to give Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Secret Service protection. Now, this is a man whose father was assassinated, his uncle was assassinated. So why wouldn't you give the son of an assassinated official Secret Service protection? What is the rationale for denying him Secret Service protection? Furthermore, the reason why presidential candidates get Secret Service protection is because his father, John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, was assassinated while he was running for president. So after that, it became traditional that presidential candidates got Secret Service protection because of his father's assassination. But the Biden administration denied him Secret Service protection, even though he had credible threats to his life, even though someone infiltrated his house and made it to the second floor in his house with his family there. The Biden administration still denied him Secret Service protection. That's a disgrace. A lifelong Democrat. This is what they did to him. Why did they do that to him? Did they want to see him assassinated? I'm not going to go that far to say that. But I would not say that that's not the reason. I don't know what the reason is. But I do know that he had to use the campaign funds that usually would be used to throw events and to advertise his campaign for Secret Service protection, for security protection, being that he didn't have Secret Service. So that limited his reach in terms of his campaign because so much money had to be allocated each time he appeared for security. So I think that the Biden administration knew that and said, well, we're going to drain this guy. We're going to drain him because we're not going to provide his security. So he's going to have to pay for his own security. And we're going to tie him up in court with a whole army of lawyers in every state. So he'll have to spend money defending his right to be on the ballot in all of these states. So this is how the Democrats are playing right now. Okay, another person that endorsed Donald Trump was Tulsi Gabbard. Now, Tulsi Gabbard is a former Democrat Congresswoman from Hawaii. Okay, she is also a former Iraqi war veteran and a former lieutenant colonel of the National Guard of Hawaii. Okay, she ran for president in 2016 as a Democrat, and she has chosen to support Donald Trump because she ran for president in 2016. She was attacked. In 2020, In 2020, she ran for president, and she was attacked by Hillary Clinton and the other establishment Democrats because she's anti-war. She's an Iraqi war vet. She's seen what happens in war. She's seen what has happened to her fellow soldiers in war, and she's adamantly opposed to war. Being that she takes that stand, the Democrats were out to get her. All right. So as a result of the things that she went through trying to run for president in 2020, she has determined that the Democratic Party is no longer a place for her, and she has aligned herself with Donald Trump. Okay, now the reason why I bring this to your attention is because these people that are aligning themselves with Donald Trump are not people who are not Democrats. And what I'm trying to express to you, people that are Democrats, is that the Democratic Party is not the same party it was 20, 30 years ago. It's not. If it had been, I would be a Democrat right now. I'm one of the ones who went to Atlanta when I moved to Atlanta and campaigned for Barack Obama. Okay, so I have been a Democrat for decades, but I had to leave them alone because they are not the same party that my father and my mother supported. They are changed now. They are pro-war. You would have never seen a Democratic Party in the 70s and the 80s that would have supported sending $200 billion to Ukraine for war. Now you can't find a Democrat that's against it. You can barely find a Democrat now that's against the thing that's going on in Palestine. They call it a genocide. You can count on your fingers the amount of Democrats that are against that. Okay, this is not the traditional Democratic Party. I knew something was up with the Democrats when I saw Barack Obama on the campaign trail before he became president in 2007 when he was campaigning. He was saying he's going to pull the troops out of Afghanistan and Iraq and all of these things. When he got it, he did a surge. He sent more troops. He didn't pull the troops out. He lied. And then he authorized more drone attacks that killed hundreds, thousands of civilians. In the first 2 years of his administration, he authorized more drone attacks than his predecessor, George Bush, did in his whole term. Okay, so that showed me right there that this is not the same Democratic Party that I signed on to. So I'm out. Okay. Now, Robert F. Kennedy. Now I know a lot of people, black people are like, oh, before this went down, a lot of black people I would talk to would say, hey, I'm a independent. I'm not a Democrat. Okay. And I asked those so-called independents, now that Robert Kennedy, who was the candidate for the independents, has joined Donald Trump. Hold on, my cat is messing with the flower. Hey, get out of there. Get out. Get out. Come on, man. Get out of there. Gotta close that door. Anyway, my friends that are independents, now that RF Kennedy has thrown his support behind Donald Trump, are you going to throw your support behind Donald Trump? Or are you not a real independent? Are you really just a Democrat that claims to be an independent? Okay? I don't even know if the people that claim to be independent knew that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was the candidate for the Independent Party. I don't even know if y'all know that. I don't even know if y'all know what he stands for. The man stands for clean water, clean air. He stands for not having the pharmaceutical companies run our healthcare system. Get out of there, cat. Get out of there. Get out of there. Yeah, right. Hold on, let me close this door. Can't let the cat go into the foyer. I got plants out there and he digs in them. She digs in them. Anyway, he's for clean air and clean water. He is questioning vaccines. He wants to know the efficacy of vaccines. What's the rationale? What's the science behind vaccines? He also doesn't agree with the fact that companies that produce these vaccines get immunity. They don't have to be held responsible for the vaccines when they actually hurt people. That's what he stands for. He wants to investigate vaccines, and he wants to make them prove why they need mercury in the vaccines. And he makes the connection between some of the ingredients in the vaccines and autism in children. That's what he's about. So he's about clean air, he's about clean water, he's about clean food, he's about a healthcare system that actually keeps people healthy. That's what Robert F. Kennedy is fighting for. And that's why he is not a Democrat anymore, because he realized that Democrats are not about that anymore. Okay? Like I said, they would not give him Secret Service protection. You know when they gave him Secret Service protection? After Donald Trump almost got assassinated. Then they said, okay, well, you know what? Now that the focus is on us now, the Biden administration said, okay, we'll give him Secret Service protection now. Okay? This is how they get down. This is your Democratic Party right now. Okay? This is what's happening. So, those of you who live around the country, we understand what's happening in our Democratic cities. You know, one of the other reasons why I had to leave the Democratic Party is because look at the conditions of the Democratic cities. Look at Chicago. Chicago is where Barack Obama is from. His wife was born and raised in Chicago. His whole family is there. Everybody is there. You know, I know he was raised in Hawaii, but he transferred to or relocated to Chicago and became, you know, representative there and became president. In Chicago, he never did anything to stop the killings. And to this day, Chicago is a battlefield. Just in July, the July 4th weekend, 119 people got shot and 17 people got killed in Chicago. And they had the convention, the Democratic convention last week in Chicago. But do you think that they would address that? Do you think they would talk about that? Do you think they would offer a solution for that? They're not gonna. This is why I say to Democrats, the Democratic Party is not the same party it was. Okay, it's not. If it had been, I would be there. I would be out campaigning right now for Kamala Harris. It's not. I'm not saying Donald Trump is perfect, but I can compare and contrast what is going on now in the world and what has gone on the 4 years that Donald Trump was president. During Trump's presidency, We didn't hear about ISIS. We didn't hear about Afghanistan. Matter of fact, he had signed treaties and was poised to remove all the troops from Afghanistan. All right, we didn't hear about Syria. He pulled the troops out of Syria. Okay, there was no war in Ukraine. There was no war in Israel. For the first time during my lifetime, in modern history, there was not a war between Palestine and Israel during the Trump administration. Okay? So this thing that Trump is going to destroy the world and destroy the country is not true. And the way the Democrats use bits of his speeches to try to paint him as some sort of would-be dictator is ridiculous. When he talked about bloodbaths, if you watch that speech, he was talking about the way that China is setting up car manufacturing plants in Mexico and planning to have their vehicles sold in the United States. And so he was opposed to that. And he was saying it's not going to happen under his watch. If he becomes president, every car that China makes in Mexico will have 100% tariff and they won't be able to sell them in the United States. That's what he said. And he said if he's not elected, it's going to be a bloodbath, because he was meaning economically. Democrats know that. And they're only going to play that little slice of the clip because they don't want you to know what he was talking about. They want you to think that there's going to be some type of political bloodbath, that there's going to be some sort of war going on or a civil war going on because Trump isn't elected. He's not saying that. Okay? And they know that, but they know that you're probably so dumb that you believe it. But I don't think that you're that dumb. I think that you can go do the research for yourself, okay, and find out the facts for yourself. I'm hoping that's the case. But if you have Trump derangement syndrome, then it doesn't matter to you anyway. And when they said, he said he's going to be a dictator, he was saying that facetiously, jokingly. He said for one day he's going to be a dictator. He said he's going to be a dictator on day one because he's going to close the border on day one and he's going to drill, baby drill, meaning that he is going to allow the oil companies to get the oil and make us energy independent. Now, whether you agree with that or not is one thing, but the fact that they used that short little tidbit of a clip to paint this man as some sort of dictator is ridiculous. The first thing a dictator does, if you watch history and if you see what's happening in the world and if you know what has happened in the world, what a dictator does, the first thing they do is try to take your guns away. Now, let me ask you this. What party is trying to take your guns away? Isn't the Democrats constantly talking about taking your guns away? They don't want to enforce the laws concerning guns. They have criminals out in the street that are committing crimes. They don't want to. They can actually enforce the laws concerning guns and make this a safer place, but they don't want to do that. They want you to be under so much stress because of violence and gun violence that you'll just consent to them taking your guns away. That's the first thing that a dictator does. They take your guns away. The second thing they do is they try to suppress your speech. They don't want you to speak out. They won't allow you to speak out. Robert F. Kennedy was running for president as an independent candidate. And did you hear about his platform? Did you see him on the major news networks? No, because his speech has been suppressed. He was not able to get his voice heard. That's what a dictatorship does. They control the media and they won't let certain things be said. Right? Remember COVID? If a doctor even said, I have issues with this COVID vaccine, that doctor was banned. He wasn't allowed to say that. Some doctors actually lost their privilege to practice in certain hospitals, lost their affiliation with certain hospitals because they were not pro-vaccine and they had questions about the vaccine. That is what a dictatorship does. They suppress speech. Okay? So, what party does that? The Democrats. Isn't the Democrats the parties that said, your body, your choice, right? That's what they say when it comes to abortion, right? They say a woman should be able to do whatever she wants with her body. Okay, what happened to that during COVID? Were you able to do what you wanted to do with your body? Could you refuse to take that vaccine and keep your job in a lot of places? In a lot of municipal places that are run by Democrats, a lot of cities that are run by Democrats, could you keep your position if you didn't want to take the vaccine? So, what is this your body, your choice thing? It's only convenient when they want it to be convenient. The president went on television, Biden said that the COVID vaccine will prevent you from getting COVID. That's not true. Okay? It doesn't prevent you from getting COVID. Okay? Anybody who has got the vaccine and then has gotten COVID can tell you that it didn't. Okay? So, if you question that though, you were banned. Simple as that. Your voice wasn't heard. That's what they do. And the other thing that a dictatorship does is they use the law to try to prevent competition. If you watch these third world countries, when they have a candidate that is popular and wants to run against them, what do? They jail them. They either put them in a cell or they put them on home arrest, or that candidate has to go into exile. They have to go to a different country. They can't even stay in the country anymore. Or they're assassinated. What party is trying to prevent their opponents from being on the ballot? The Democrats. You had 2 states that were trying to remove Trump from the ballot, and it had to go to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, 9-0, all the Supreme Court justices, the conservatives as well as the liberals said, no, you don't have the power to do that. How can a state remove a presidential candidate from a federal ballot in a federal election? It's impossible. But how did that case even get to the Supreme Court? That means that the states are so corrupt. The states that are run by Democrats are so corrupt that they were able to take Trump's name off the ballot in 2 states. And they knew that the Supreme Court would shoot it down. But they were able to do it anyway because they are connected with their political operatives, these judges, and they were allowed to do it. So it did get to the Supreme Court. That's telling you, that is the blueprint for a dictatorship. Okay, so if you're trying to paint Trump as a dictator, he's not trying to take your guns away. He's not trying to stop anybody from saying what they need to say, whether he likes it or not. And he's not trying to use the justice system to get his opponents off the ballot. He's not. Also, what they try to do, like I said, is try to get their opponents off the ballot by using political warfare, or what they call lawfare, to get them off the ballot. Trump has not done that. He has not gone to court to try to get Kamala Harris off the ballot. Okay, even though they may be a legitimate reason for that, being that she was not the primary candidate, and people who cast their votes for the primary are casting for Biden, but he's not doing that. Okay, so when you look at a dictatorship, you got to take these things into consideration. What does a dictatorship do? Right? So, as far as others that are supporting Trump, Elon Musk is also supporting Trump. Elon Musk is one of the smartest men in the world. Okay? He's leading the revolution for electric vehicles. Okay? 80% of the satellites that are being launched in space are being launched in space by his company, SpaceX. And I'm taking in consideration all the world governments in terms of the United States, China, Russia. 80% of the world's satellites are being launched by this man's company, Elon Musk. And he supports Donald Trump. Why is that? Does he know something that you don't know? Think about that. Why are these people supporting Donald Trump? And shouldn't we have a coalition of different people running our government, not just the same usual suspects all the time, not just the career politicians that's been there 30, 40, 50 years. Shouldn't we have new people come in with new ideas? Isn't that what democracy is supposed to be about? So don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of that. Okay, then we're going to talk about this. Some of you say, oh, well, Trump, he denied the fact that, he lost the election. Yeah, he did. He called into question the election. And if he felt that the election was not done properly and there was some fraud going on, then he has the right to advocate for that and represent the people that voted, because that's his job as president, to speak for the people. Okay, when he won 2016, they said that he stole the election. They said that the Russians hacked the election and all this stuff. And to this day, Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton still say that. Did they get prosecuted for that? Is that considered sedition when they say it? To this day, Stacey Abrams, who ran for governor of Georgia twice and lost, is saying that she did not lose and that the election was stolen from her. Is she facing charges for that? Now, the case that Trump is making, that the election was stolen from him, I may agree with it, I may not agree with it. But one thing I do know is that during the course of the campaign in 2020, in October of 2020, just before the election in November, the laptop of Hunter Biden was found, was recovered. And in that laptop, there was him on video using drugs and doing a whole lot of other freaky stuff. Had escorts, female escorts and everything, and they suppressed that. The Justice Department told the social media outlets that that was Russian misinformation, that they were not to put out that story. Matter of fact, they did not allow the New York Post, who's one of the oldest papers in this country, they suppressed that story so they could not share that story that a laptop was found with Hunter Biden smoking crack and with guns around him, with his gun around him smoking crack, which is a felony, right? They said that that was Russian misinformation. They did not let that story come out. 17% of people who voted said that had they known about that, it may have influenced the way they voted in November. So the government stepped in on behalf of the Biden administration, or Joe Biden, or the Democrats, or the establishment, if you want to call it that, to make sure that that story get out. They even got 51 former intelligence agents to sign a letter saying that the Hunter laptop was Russian misinformation. 51 retired intelligence agents signed a letter saying that the Hunter laptop was Russian misinformation. And they knew it was false. They knew that the laptop was real because they had the laptop in their possession. So if that's not election interference, then you tell me what is. What is election interference then? Okay, so anything that happens after that, as far as I'm concerned, is suspect. Okay? So, man, I've been ranting for a while. So I'm going to wrap this thing. But listen to what I have to say in terms of who you're going to vote for this year. As you saw, a coalition of people are coming together to support Trump. Okay? Look at your food bill. Look at eggs. Look at cheese. Look at flour. Look at butter. Look at baby formula. Look at cereal. Look at gas. Look at rent. Look at mortgage rates. Look at inflation. Look at all of these things that are going up with no end in sight. Kamala doesn't have a clue. And don't tell me that, oh, it's Biden, his administration. Kamala is just vice president. She has nothing to do with this. Yes, she does, because we all know, and those of us who have really been paying attention have known that for the last 3 years, Biden has had Parkinson's and has been unfit to run anything. Couldn't run the local Walmart. So in the instance where a president cannot fulfill his duties, it is the obligation of the vice president to take control. So that's her job, is to take control when the president is not capable. And Biden is not capable. Biden is not running this country. So if Biden is not running this country, you mean to tell me that Kamala is not running the country either? So if Kamala is not running the country, then who's running the country? You tell me, who's running the country? Kamala's running the country. And if you want to know what it's like under a Kamala presidency, you don't have to imagine it. You're living under it right now. She's one of the ones that was talking about no cash bail. She's one of the ones that was saying that, people should be allowed to steal. Now they have laws in these democratic cities like New York that you can steal $950 without going to jail. It's like a speeding ticket, parking ticket. They can take $900 worth of merchandise out of a store, get a ticket, then come back in and steal another $900 worth of merchandise from the store. These are Kamala Harris's policies. These are liberal policies. This is crazy. So if this is what you want, if your Trump derangement syndrome is so bad that you think this is the right thing, then vote for Kamala. But if you have a brain in your head, don't vote for Kamala. And if your Trump derangement syndrome is so bad, then stay home. Stay home. Okay? And you'll be better off, because Trump will win, and you can say, well, I didn't vote for him, but my life is better. And you can keep your Trump derangement syndrome intact. So, thanks for hanging out with me in my house in Brooklyn for so long. I know it's been a long rant, but I just had to get that off my chest. So, until next time, as always, peace and stay safe.